Hello there, Nebulous Scholar here. This time I'm back in Sekiro for the next Gauntlet of Strength, the Severance Gauntlet. Now, last time I didn't really have much to say about the bosses of the battles, as they weren't ones that I had spent a lot of time on. I had only beat them once each, Emma excluded, before I started attempting the boss rush. This set of bosses, however, I've had more time with. I mean, it was 2 playthroughs instead of 1, but I've still got a better impression of them. I can say this as a fact, since I beat this gauntlet on my second try, and the first run I made it all the way to Inner Isshin. I can confidently say that I can handle all of these bosses with a little frustration, but that doesn't mean I can perfect your style on them. Anyway, first off, we have the Guardian Ape. Right off the bat, I use an Akko Sugar. I mentioned that I had a problem with an item poverty mindset, wherein because of my experience being completely exhausted of my resources, I have a mental block on using items and getting by on my sword skills only. My clumsy use of items over the course of this run is indicative of me trying to get over that block. Now, I use an Akko's because I'm still not comfortable using a Yashariku, but I still want to increase my damage output so that I have to use less emblems on firecrackers. As a beast, the Mega Monkey is susceptible to big posture damage from firecrackers, which thankfully makes the fight much more manageable. On my first run, the ape's wild attacks, sweep and grab mix-ups, and foul poison application gave me immense frustration. Just when I thought I was getting the hang of the game, he comes along and walls me off. Being used to other Souls-likes, it's daunting to even consider blocking against giant enemy attacks. However, I mentioned in the Shura Gauntlet, I had an epiphany about blocking attacks. See, while fighting the Blazing Bull, I realized nothing it did was perilous. So, learning to block that beast, I eventually relearned the lesson to block this beast's flailing. I've mostly got the hang of dealing with Albino Kong's moves now, and scaring him with the firecrackers every so often means the fight should be over soon enough. And then he remembers he can grab. Between the chained ogre and him, I don't know whose grab boxes are worse, but evading this leaping grab never stops being a problem for me. I drink for safety here, but really I just need to hit him once more to finish this part. Okay, I'll admit here, I'm kind of cheating. When Guardian Ape transitions to Headless Ape, there's a subtle movement. I don't know if it's the assets being changed up, but when the swap happens, the body shifts as if it were just dropped in. While I find it fun seeing these kinds of seams in the world like this, I'd also rather not see them and keep my immersion. Anyway, I take this time to pop another Akko in preparation for the Headless phase. Honestly, I find Headless Ape way easier than Guardian Ape. Ever since I learned that any umbrella blocks the terror screen, I enjoy keeping up my assault right when the scream ends. Maybe when an enemy grabs a sword, I activate a self-buff that increases my parameters. Either way, deflecting the sword is way easier for me, which means I get to spear the centipede in this thing's neck. In the end, despite the sheer amount of headache this monkey initially gave me, I really have no complaints left. Even the dual monkey fight feels manageable to me, to the point that despite it being optional in my second non-Shura playthrough, I fought them anyway. Gotta put down the monkeys before they make more. By the way, despite his name, the Guardian Ape is actually the Guardian Monkey. He's got a tail, albeit a tiny stubby one, characteristic of the Japanese snow monkey. So, fun fact. With Great Shinobi Owl, there's no time for candy, so it's time to go right in. With Inner Father, I mentioned that I liked Great Shinobi Owl more, and that still holds true. I like that he's more gimmicky and tricky with his heal sealing, his poison, and his smoke bombs. It makes him feel more like a shinobi, rather than a super magic warrior or something. I mean, super magic warrior is cool, but hey, I like ninja stuff. My only gripe with Great Shinobi is that he has too few openings for me to take advantage of, unlike Father's various perilous attacks. So, fighting Great Shinobi Owl can get somewhat repetitive. Healing can be real tough in this fight. For the most part, I can avoid damage from his attacks, but I'm prone to mistakes, and those mistakes build up. I get taken down to my magic pixel here, and have my healing sealed, so I really have to do my best to not panic and keep up an impenetrable defense. As soon as I see him throw out his sealing charm, I immediately register two things. One, I can heal again, and two, I now have the brief moment to heal as he leisurely recovers from his charm throw. As usual in these games, the opening to attack is the same as the opening to heal, and recognizing that is key. And so with that, I top myself back off. Okay, so despite keeping calm, I did have a minor panic attack with the firecrackers. Normally I'd want to charge through the firecrackers to keep attacking, but I also had retreat on my mind. Retreating went out, and I managed to get out, but a lot of the time that'll just end poorly for me. I'll eat the firecrackers and take some more damage. Now that I'm in phase 2, I always try to get that preemptive attack while Owl's head is bowed, but it never happens. The smoke bombs he starts throwing can be troublesome to deal with, since it breaks the lock-on, and more than once I take a hit trying to relock and jumping around, instead of playing it safe. I especially like to repeatedly use Ichimonji in this fight. I feel like it's too strong sometimes, but I can't help but use it. The way I fight Owl, he's a very deflect-heavy fight, so my posture bar spends a lot of time filled up. When he has an opening, I'll throw out an Ichimonji double to regain my posture while dealing decent vitality and posture damage to him. Owl's double shuriken leaping cleave combo is easily his most telegraphed move. At first, I tried blocking every hit, but that cleave more often than not hurt to block. Luckily, I realized I could dodge through it to his side, letting me get at his exposed flank. He likes to use the move often enough, and I like to take advantage of it just as often. As I said, he has few openings, so getting this one, while repetitive, is one of the ways to chip at his vitality. The poison pools that Owl throws around can be a nuisance to fight around, but sometimes I'll just accept the poison and take the freedom of movement, especially since I feel I can deal with his sword attacks. Of course that means he'll throw out more charms and smoke bombs, and of course that means I'll fail to dodge through his heavy slash like I normally do. So, I ended up using a resurrection here, and that's mostly because both times he used that shuriken heavy slash combo, I didn't evade through the slash. Much like his leaping cleave, dodging the heavy slash gets to the opening to damage him, while you're more likely to get punished for trying to defend. Really, I think this works since you're both shinobi. Don't fight him head-on in an honorable duel. Rely on your evasiveness and trickery to get your hits in. From the very beginning, Owl doesn't play fair, and it's not like you have honor to uphold. If anything, I should have been using my own firecrackers on him. I even had them equipped. But the item poverty mindset strikes again. Really though, a shinobi should know the difference between honor and victory after all. Once he's low on health and his posture is built up high, Owl will throw down his poison and attempt to restore his posture. I've had the shuriken ready for this since the beginning, because I don't want to make this fight any longer than it already is. Also, using Chasing Slice through the poison actually avoids a lot of the buildup and lets me keep the pressure on. And so, by not letting up, even when I'm poisoned, Owl goes down. Okay, now, I definitely forgot to take the opportunity to eat an Akko's sugar to speed this fight along. See, True Corrupted Monk is a fight that, for reasons unfathomable to even myself, I just don't enjoy. That one. That move is something that makes me hate the fight. That Skyward Strike, for some reason, deals 2 hits in one swing, making it pseudo-unblockable. Never able to deal with it, and it takes off a hefty chunk of my health. I could probably just hold down block, but the way the rest of the fight goes, I really don't have the muscle memory to do so. I see how it's supposed to be a dance-like fight, deflecting spinning strikes, leaping over arcing sweeps, and occasionally countering thrusts, but I don't know. Both the Illusory Monk and True Monk feel tedious to me, and in the end I do my best to just get through the experience as fast as possible. Overall, either monk feels too tanky to me. When I first fought the Illusory Monk, I thought I needed Confetti to deal proper damage, like a Headless or a Shichiman Warrior. Turns out she just has a lot of vitality and posture. At the very least, the second phase can be skipped with a death blow. I've tried fighting her entirely legitimately, but that really just reinforces my idea that this fight is just tedious. I will say that assassinating her amidst the Illusory Mist looks extremely stylish and well worth it to skip phase 2. Unfortunately for me, I once again forget to use the sugar to expedite phase 3. As for phase 3, well, as far as I remember, it's almost entirely identical to phase 1, except now she's got a Perilous Terror Vomit, which admittedly killed me one too many times. So with the third verse same as the first, plus the fact that you've already fought Illusory Monk earlier, it just makes it feel even more tedious, as I've been saying. I apologize for not having this be a spectacular fight and making it boring with my cruel inefficiency. On the other hand, if you just want to get past this fight, this works. Stunlock her with Pocket Sand and Sparklers, and the fight will just be trivialized. Do be careful with the Firecrackers though. If they end up too far behind her like this, they may not land and you'll have to fight her normally for a bit. I'm not sure what more I can say about Final Genichiro. I mean, I forgot to switch my Lilac Umbrella to deflect the Mortal Draw, or if I dropped Firecrackers earlier, I wouldn't have gotten hit. But there's really not much else to say. I've fought Genichiro enough that any damage I take is really my fault. And I've mentioned I'm well aware I'm prone to making mistakes. The fact that this fight took slightly over a minute is because I just failed to end it faster. Genichiro is probably my favorite boss to fight in the game, but when I say that I mean the one at the top of Ashina Castle, or Inner Genichiro. This mortal blade Genichiro is a shell of his former self, and he knows it. It's why he calls in Grandpappy to do the job after all. I will mention that you will specifically want the Lilac Umbrella for the mortal draw, as only it will block the chip damage. And there he goes, breaking my posture with Floating Passage. I didn't properly mitigate my posture, but as I said, at this point, Genichiro is really no problem. Inner Isshin opens up with this Mortal Draw Vortex that looks really cool. I know I can block it with the Lilac Umbrella and begin my counterattack early. Unfortunately, I don't think he ever uses it again in this fight, which is a shame because it's really cool, and Inner Isshin's moveset really lacks anything new, especially in comparison to the other inner bosses. I'll say that fighting Old Man Isshin in the Shura Gauntlet reawoke my muscle memory, since Phase 1 for both are nearly identical. But aside from his opening move, fighting Inner Isshin is practically unchanged from fighting normal Sword Saint Isshin. Of course, he's still Sword Saint Isshin, making him a difficult fight. When the spear comes out in Phase 2, Isshin definitely becomes more dangerous, especially when he runs near the edge of the cliff. I don't know what he's doing here. Maybe he remembers how my last run ended, with me falling off to my death. It's not happening this time though. I still don't know how Isshin can make a flintlock pistol emulate semi-automatic fire, but it's definitely cool. With his spear, Isshin gets longer reaching attacks and more damage, but I feel this is mitigated by his ending most of his combos with his highly telegraphed spear thrust for a free Mikiri. I don't really know what to say about Inner Isshin's new moves. He gets two, which are almost the same. He runs at you with a sweep, makes you block in midair, then follows up with either a charged sword slash or a thrust. While both devastating moves, I can't really say they add much to his moveset. Since they both start with parallel sweeps, he won't use them as often as Inner Genichiro with Sakura Dance, or Inner Father with his Mist Raven combos. I really feel like Inner Isshin got the short end of the stick when it came to these enhancements. Sure, Sword Saint Isshin is a fight that really tests the limits of player skill. He's got high damage, high aggressiveness, long reach, and a semi-automatic flintlock, but Inner Isshin feels more like just Sword Saint 2, compared to Super Genichiro or Super Ninja Owl. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good difficult fight, but it's just lackluster amongst the trio. Okay, now for Phase 3, I make sure to put on Sakura Dance. It's not necessary, but it's more of an efficiency move. Negates lightning damage, automatically reverses, deals excellent damage itself, and also looks real neat. As per the fight against Way of Tomoe Genichiro, lightning trivializes the fight. I don't mind though, it makes Phase 3 something of a victory lap. I also make liberal use of the umbrella to block and counter his sword wave moves, as they can be fairly dangerous if left unchecked. Unfortunately, I take a hit from his new move, manage to heal, and promptly fail to keep my posture in check. I manage to survive, heal, and take another hit, but luckily my health is still in better shape than before I healed. As we get over to the cliffside, Isshin gives me lightning one more time for an epic, climactic looking finish.
じゃあSekiro Sorobo.
And with that, that's the Gauntlet of Strength Severance, cleared on my second try.